Welcome to Going Through Health with Gordy and Zed.
Where wellness gets a fun twist. I'm Gordy Jenkins, a natural foods entrepreneur, and with me is Dr. Zed DeBout, our resident trained Stanford MD. We are former college swim teammates turned best friends, and now your guide to this crazy world of health trends and fitness hacks with a focus on getting the science right. Get ready for a wild ride. This is Going Through Health with Gordy and Zed. Today, Zed and I discuss the magic of magnesium, highlighting the diverse benefits of this mineral and exploring why most people don't get enough of it. Then, hey, don't cramp my style. It's a historical perspective about Old Hoss Radbourn. Did this old-timey baseball player coin the term Charley Horse? Did he? Do we then finish with the fast-fire questions? Stay tuned and find out. But first, Zed, what do you have for us this week? What weirdness have you encountered on your health journey?
Gordy, in my journey through health, I have an interesting tidbit of the week for you. You ready for this?
I'm ready.
All right. So in the 1920s, Dr. John R. Brinkley, aka the goat gland doctor, gained fame for transplanting goat testicles into men to restore virility. What do you think about that? The goat testicle transplants.
Wait, so he put goat? I'm not balls. Is that what medically into other people's, like, I didn't think this would be the first out of the gates, first 10 seconds, but like into the scrota of other men.
Yep, that was the surgical procedure. So yeah, he would basically take the goat testicles, transplant them into the human scrotal sac to help restore male virility. And I'm on his Wikipedia now, and so let's see. First line is...
You make it sound so easy, Zed. You make it sound...
Well, he's a pro. He's a professional. But I'm seeing now in the first line it said he was an American quack. So actually, do you mind vamping for a second? I need to call my goat guy and cancel a procedure.
Cancel the big appointment.
Yeah. But how weird is that?
All right. So did he like how do we know how good he was at it? Did he actually like attach like the vas deferens and all those other little tubes, or did he just like, was he kind of like the smartest guy in his like idiot town and like goats absolutely hated him? Goats just hated this dude.
People loved him. Beloved by people, hated by goats. But no, it turns out he had not. You're not going to believe this, but he had no properly accredited education and bought his diploma from a diploma mill. So probably like Harvard or something.
How did that's so interesting though? How did he get all those goats to trust him? Like,
I think he was probably just like a marketer in a farmer's body, just like looking around his like pasture, like. What can I? Let's see. Yeah. We're doing goat yoga. We're doing goat milk. We're doing
actually idle hands.
but yeah. So I just thought it was pretty weird, and yeah, trying to imagine like modern day. I can see like the Hims ads like running for hair loss and like virility and
what? So what did they? What's the best case scenario? Is you get a bunch of like freaking the like satyrs. Like what happens if it works out and like you and your goat balls fornicate with... Said, why is this the first paragraph of this episode? But what happens? Is that was he trying to make a goat human hybrid super species?
Yeah, he was trying to recreate Mr. Tumnus. But no, I think all of them were failures. There was like a lot of infections. He kept going further into debt. There were 2 years of studies that were just a catastrophe. Everyone was like denouncing him. And yeah, it was just a total complete cluster goat. But yeah, he emerged as the greatest of all time when it came to goat testicle transplants.
Hey, congratulations to Dr. John R. Brinkley and to any of his surviving family members that must be very proud of the goat gland doctor. That's cool.
But yeah, so different sort of goat, but I can imagine like like a similar. This isn't too far away from like TB12 kind of stuff. Like it would be plant based, so it'd be like macadamia nut or something. But yeah,
Not macadamia nut. It's goat nuts.
it's goat nuts. but no. So history is filled with these interesting supplements and procedures. But yeah, today we'll talk about a slightly different, less invasive kind of supplement.
Yeah, no, indeed we will, Zed, and we're gonna do it in a little bit of a new structure this week. Zed, do you want to tell everyone just briefly about the new structure?
Yeah, so Gordy, I thought we could borrow from the medical world. So to structure the main segment of this week's episode, so we're going to try out a soap note format. Gordy heard the word soap, and now there's just a perfectly outlined bit of dust where it used to be. The guy hates soap, folks.
Whoa!
But no.
He's going populist. He's going rally. It's rally Zed on me. Folks, the guy doesn't use soap.
I'm on my soapbox now.
You are.
A medical soap note is basically just like a structured method used by clinicians. It stands for subjective, where you kind of record information about the patient, like symptoms, history, personal experiences. Then you have the objective, so sort of that observable, measurable data. The assessment, so your diagnosis or clinical impression, and then the plan, so the proposed treatment plan, follow-up, all that kind of stuff. So we're going to use that format, but kind of break down today's subject. All right, Gordy, what is the subjective today?
The subjective. Well, our subject today, Zed, is magnesium. So let me give this element the intro it really deserves. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for the heavy-hitting, muscle-relaxing, energy-boosting champion of the periodic table, fresh from the springs of Thessaly, number 12 on the periodic table, but number 1 in our hearts. It's the one, the only, the mighty Magnesium, everyone. Thank you. The crowd goes wild. Magnesium is our subject today, and it is an essential mineral for human health. It has a long, varied history of use throughout the years in medicine and wellness practices. And the recognition of its health benefits trace back to ancient times. Like, for example, in ancient Greece, the birthplace of magnesium's medical use, which is just one of the pithy nicknames for Greece. In ancient Greece, around 400 BC, the Greek physician Hippocrates, they really like to other name things longer, referred to as the father of medicine, from the birthplace of magnesium's medical use, documented the use of magnesium sulfate, commonly known as Epsom salt, for its laxative properties. And so this practice was rooted into the observation that water from a certain springs, and this is what Hippocrates wrote. He wrote, the water from the certain springs had a pee out your butt effect. So that water was a strong laxative effect. And the town of Magnesia, located in Thessaly, Greece, later actually gave magnesium its name.
Pee out your butt. That's all Greek to me, but I can sort of piece it together from context clues. That's I guess it wouldn't be too hard to put that together. Like, you drink the water from this place, and constipation be conquered.
Yeah, be gone. And so, 2,000 years later, in the 17th century England, it also had a revival. Magnesium sulfate had a revival as spa culture started to increase and gain some prominence. I bet those spas were really nice. So in 1618, a great year, a farmer named Henry Wicker discovered the healing properties of a spring in Epsom, Surrey, in southeast England.
Oh, God.
People noticed that the water from the spring had a bitter taste and could relieve constipation and other ailments. And so this led to the commercial production of Epsom salts, which became a popular remedy in Europe and that European spa culture, which I was teasing about, that 17th century European spa culture. Very nice. So people flocked to Epsom from other spa towns, I don't know, like Tucson, Arizona, I don't know, to take the waters for their health benefits. And so I was like curious, I was like, why is everyone from this 17th century England town all obsessed with laxatives? And then I was reading about it, and 17th century commoners in England didn't get a lot of like fruits and a lot of fibers in their diet. So like constipation was a very real thing, you know? And so I just wanted to hit you with a little bit of the subjective today. But Zed, I would. Sorry, go for it.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, like, have you ever struggled with constipation, or has that ever been an issue for you?
Not usually, honestly. I'm pretty good about it. But recently, I've been trying to up my fiber and doing that chia seeds. Been liking chia seeds,
Oh,
but
nice.
now I just ordered some magnesium, so hopefully I'll be able to really start cooking with gas.
Yeah, 'cause it's something that like I hadn't encountered like much in my personal life. I've been blessed with like magnesium pee out your butt syndrome. But I've like recently discovered a couple friends like whenever they travel will just get really bad constipation, and it's a foreign problem for me. But like maybe we need to just do more like Greek travel or Epsom.
It's true.
Bring
The
Epsom
travel
salts.
really gets people. The travel does really get people. I know. I'm very blessed. So good. I'm glad we can make this episode so we could rub it in people's faces.
Gross.
Yeah,
All
sorry,
right.
not that exactly. That was the subjective. All right, let's move on. Zed, hit us with the objective. Objectify me, Captain.
I don't know what's up with you. Always trying to get me to objectify you.
I like it.
Now you're dropping all your pencils and picking them up one by one. You're not gonna get me, listeners. He's now doing the splits and looking at me through his eyelashes. This horse's ass. All right, here's the objective. So if you remember your middle school science, maybe it was high school, I don't remember. But magnesium, as Gordy alluded to earlier,
Preschool for me because I'm really smart.
a genius. Just always been a magnesium guy.
Big
So it's
magnesium guy.
a shiny gray metal in its elemental form, but we pretty much only come into contact with it as part of its various compounds. So it's a super crucial micronutrient for human biology and optimal function, and it's involved in a litany of biological processes, as they say. So that's so metal.
Very metal.
What roles does magnesium play, Gordy? Let me count the ways.
Oh, please do.
Everything from, you got your enzyme activation. So magnesium is a cofactor in over 300 enzymatic reactions. Who's counting? Who's bragging? You got your energy production, ATP, protein synthesis. So totally necessary for synthesis of proteins, cell structure and function, tissue repair. You got your nervous system regulation, functioning of neurotransmitters, signaling between cells, impulse control, muscle function. Just like cutting me off Oscar style.
No, I mean, it sounds great. Sorry, folks. I just learned that there's a soundboard today, so it's going to be crazy.
It's not even about me. It's about magnesium.
All right. Continue about your magnesium. Sorry to hit you with applause.
Bone health. So 60% of the body's magnesium is stored in bones. Cardiovascular health, blood sugar control. Now I have that applause in my head and now I'm Russian, but that's fine. No, so just maybe give a little bit of an analogy. Magnesium maybe is kind of like common sense. It's a crucial part of all kinds of different activities and interactions, but maybe a lot of people are deficient. What do you think about that, Gordy?
Ooh, I like that. That's folksy. That's like that's folksy. That's like a good Ted Lasso saying or something. It's like Ted Lasso was talking about magnesium.
But yeah, it's true though. The National Institutes of Health reports that nearly half of the U.S. population doesn't get enough. So at least from their diet.
Wow, that's crazy though. I mean, it seems just shockingly high. And I was even reading some of a different like government sponsored nutritional information available online. It was really interesting because it was like, no, like you don't have to worry about magnesium. You just should get all your magnesium in your daily food and stuff. But it's really just not considering that there are some serious issues with it not being available in our food like it should be, which I'll also get to in a second after we hear from our sponsors.
Hear ye, hear ye, weary folk of the realm. Art thou plagued by the dreaded curse of constipation? Dost thou sit upon thy chamber pot as if it were thy throne, awaiting a royal decree from thy bowels? Fear no more, for Henry Wicker's Epsom salts shall deliver thee from thy distress. Made with the magical powers of magnesium, these wondrous crystals shall move mountains within thee, unleashing a torrent most swift. A dash in thy morning ale, and lo, thy bowels shall dance like the maypole, and diarrhea shall flow like the river Thames after a storm. Henry Wicker's Epsom salts. For when thy insides are more stubborn than a mule, let the great purge begin.
Welcome back. All right, Gordy, next up. All right, why don't we break down some of our impressions and share some asides as part of our assessment.
All right, our assessment. Zed, You cannot talk about magnesium without mentioning the fact that it is so prevalent to be deficient in it, which you already have talked about. But I will explain to you why we are so deficient.
You're right.
So,
I can't not talk about it.
Nope, and you couldn't. And I just want to let you know that is something about you that I think you should work on. No, but so why is everyone magnesium deficient? Well, dietary factors are the main thing. Eating too much processed food, sugar, alcohol, sodas. I thought it was interesting that like Coca-Cola and colas, that I think it's the phosphoric acid in it actually depletes your magnesium in your blood serum, which is pretty nuts. You don't even think about those kind of things. I mean, you probably do, but like a lot of you don't think about the implications outside of calories a lot of the time for like diet sodas. People don't, they equate health with calories a lot, not thinking about the nutrients and the micronutrients, I feel like. So processed foods is a big issue because of how much of our food is processed, and the actual processing process to make processed food, that process itself strips away magnesium. And then in the process, there's less magnesium available for you. So don't eat processed foods.
I think that's 10.
So if you don't know, I'm getting paid $3 by big processed food whenever I say processed. $3, Ed. I don't know why I sell myself so short.
No, that sounds about right.
Yeah, that's about what it's worth. And like they're paying me to like shit. I don't know. It doesn't make sense. But so what you should be eating is leafy green vegetables, nuts. To go back to the goat story, seeds, whole grains, and legumes.
Dude, I love legumes. You know what they call me?
No.
Mr. Bean.
That's good.
Also a great podcast.
That's cool.
Just like me.
That's sick, dude. All right. I like that. The ladies call me Mr. Bean. All right. Cool. He's kind of a sexy character in history.
Yeah. History. Legume with it.
Soil depletion, Zed. If you may stop talking for a second so I can get into something called soil depletion. Actually, back in the day, and even like, in ancient Greece, we were talking about it, but a lot of people in America getting their water from wells and things like that used to be able to get their magnesium from water sources, from their own, water sources. But now that obviously we do not get a lot of our water from wells, and thus we're not getting as much magnesium. And this is also something that I found interesting, Zed, that stress depletes magnesium levels. There was a study done in Kosovo of the citizens who were suffering extreme chronic stress from war, and they found that they all had low levels of magnesium in their blood serum, and also were excreting it at a faster rate in their urine. So living in these stressful conditions was quite literally depleting them of magnesium, and which leads to even more anxiety, and it's kind of a vicious cycle.
Yeah.
Alcohol, bad for magnesium. Caffeine, the diuretic effect of caffeine gets you urinating a lot, peeing out a lot of magnesium. IBS, things like that, kidney disease, diabetes, all affect how your body absorbs magnesium. Medications, diuretics. I thought it was interesting because magnesium is good for blood pressure. And it helps that when your blood vessels are freaking out, magnesium helps relax your blood vessels. But one of the main drugs that is prescribed for hypertension is a diuretic, and that diuretic actually leads to the depletion of more magnesium, and it kind of puts you behind. So it's kind of a, not good. Not good, I guess. It's not good.
No, it's interesting. We'll cover more of this in a later point, but how much stress in these sort of outside stressors, whether like more psychological or even some of these stressors you put in your body, like processed foods, etc., they all sort of harm magnesium functioning or kind of disrupt its functioning within the body, or actually promote its excretion. And while at the same time, magnesium is such a stress buffer. So it's kind of this negative feedback cycle where, like you spoke to, you're losing it. And then you also, because you're losing it, you have less of it to handle the stress.
Yeah. So again, most of it comes down to our diet, though. And that's what, listening, you can probably most directly impact. And so just be sure to eat those leafy green vegetables, nuts, seeds, whole grains, legumes, Mr. Bean over there, and avoid processed foods.
Well, no, that's awesome. And that's awesome. But so,
thanks, man. I felt good about that segment. Thank you.
But no, there's I have a couple extra things that I came across that I found super compelling. So we talked about stress. This is tangentially related to that, but there's quite a bit of evidence supporting magnesium as a sleep aid. So I have personal experience with this, and I'll get to that in a bit. But there have been a number of studies done that seem to support that magnesium supplementation can help promote like sleep quality. So there are mixed results, and a lot of it depends on the individual, as so much of this kind of thing does. But it does predominantly seem to show that magnesium supplementation can help improve sleep time, efficiency, insomnia symptoms, and all of that's when compared to placebo. So again, totally like on an individual basis, and we can talk about our own experiences here. But as far as dosage goes, it looks like from the NIH and some other sources, the appropriate dosage can vary, but it ranges from around 200 to 400 milligrams per day. It's important to call out here that there are different forms of magnesium. So if you go to your health foods aisle or online, you'll see like magnesium citrate, glycinate, oxide. So they all vary in their absorption rates and bioavailability. And then something else interesting is that it's been shown that splitting up the total dosage throughout the day can really help improve that absorption and bioavailability. So instead of taking one big dose at like night before bed, you can split that up. So
that's interesting. So if you're
ahead.
taking like 400 or how do you know how many off the top of your head how many milligrams you're trying to supplement?
Yes. So I take magnesium glycinate, and I take about 250 grams total, but I split it up into 2 doses throughout the day. So I take one when I wake up. Yeah. Milligrams. Yeah, and I'll take one when I get up and like one when I go to bed. So like 100 for each dose for a total of 200.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
So
interesting.
So revisiting those forms, so I just said I take magnesium glycinate. So that's one of the ones that's known best for its high bioavailability. It's pretty gentle on the digestive system, so it makes it a pretty popular choice for sleep aid, etc. There's also magnesium citrate, taurate, malate. So those are all also fairly highly absorbable, but they, as we know from Thessaly and the UK, they can have a laxative effect at higher doses. And then your magnesium salts, so your magnesium oxide, chloride, sulfate, those are less bioavailable, but they're often used due to cost effectiveness. So they're just generally a little cheaper than the others.
Cool.
Yeah. Timing wise, like they recommend, it seems like the general recommendation exploring the subject is taken in about 30 minutes to an hour before bed to help enhance the effects of sleep. But with all of this stuff, again, it's so individualized. And if it doesn't work for you, that's fine. Like my wife has tried it a couple times, and she already sleeps really well and actually finds that it disturbs her sleep. Whereas when I take it, I find it like pretty helpful to relax, and I'll get that feeling of like, when you feel like you're kind of being pressed into the bed, but like in a relaxing way, like you're kind of sinking into the mattress.
Mm-hmm.
That's the kind of physiological effect that I feel.
That's
so
cool.
Again, it's just important to like be consistent. And if you're going to test something like this, like make sure you're doing all the other big things right in terms of like having a dark room and like quiet and cool, etc. But if you want to experiment with supplements or other tools in your toolkit, just be consistent and try to only manipulate one variable at a time. So don't go like throwing on blue light blocking glasses and like do a meditation and like try magnesium all for the first time in the same night. Try to like do one thing for like a week at a time and just see how it affects your system.
Is that so you don't overwhelm your system, or just so that you can isolate the variables so you can actually like attribute the effects to a specific reason?
The latter. And so you can isolate those variables and sort of only manipulate one variable at a time to understand what's actually making a difference.
Cool. That makes sense. That's interesting.
And then it's important again just to find what works for you and is sustainable, and consistency is key. And so like if it works for you, you don't need to like be the magnesium prophet and tell everyone that it's like the panacea, because that's my job. I'm kind of the magnesium prophet already. Get your own job. But you don't have to go to war over these things. You don't have to wrap your identity around them. But anyways,
but you can.
You can. We encourage. If you don't have one already. God knows Hippocrates did. He's the father of medicine.
Yes, he did.
But in terms of safety and side effects, we've touched on it's generally safe for most people. But again, always consult your physician. Excessive intake, you can get your diarrhea, aka POB syndrome. Abdominal cramping. Individuals with kidney disease should also be specifically careful because impaired kidney function can affect magnesium excretion.
Wow, you sound like all the people with kidney problems listening to that. I was like, oh, sorry, are kidney problems boring, you said?
No, I was just
Oh, if you have kidney problems, there's probably something in magnesium helps. I don't know. I don't have time for you. Good luck is what I gotta say.
No, I'm just not the expert. I'm not going to pretend to know you like your kidney doctor knows you. And I don't want to get to know you. No.
Fair enough. I'll stick to my nephrologist. Thank you very much.
But yeah, so I thought the sleep part was really interesting and selfishly applicable because I'm a little bit of a princess and the pea. And
Yes,
then,
you are.
Do you mind? Is it cool with you, Gordy, if I talk a little bit about magnesium's role in treating migraines? Because
Yeah,
you're kind of giving me one right now.
I was gonna say yes, but just go for it. Just go.
No, you've actually been super encouraging, and like besides for the splits and the bend and snap, I feel I feel really supported by you.
I took my headphones off. I'll be honest.
No, it was, why doesn't everyone just take their headphones off for a second? We'll be right back. No, so magnesium's role in treating migraines. So it's emerged. It has emerged a while back as potential treatment for migraines due to its involvement in numerous processes. So we touched on a little bit of the neurotransmitters, some other bits of the migraine pathophysiology. So the neurotransmitter regulation, inflammation reduction, nerve function. So magnesium plays roles in all of these systems and processes. And then there's quite a bit of evidence supporting magnesium for migraines. So studies showing daily supplementation with 600 milligrams of magnesium citrate significantly reduced the frequency of migraine attacks.
Wow.
And then it's often recommended as preventive treatment. So they've shown that regular supplementation can help maintain not only adequate levels, but also potentially reduce the frequency of those attacks over time. So I just thought it was interesting that a relatively safe, accessible supplement can have some of these really beneficial properties for something that's so painful and disturbing as migraines for those of you who have them.
For sure. I was reading about magnesium this week and seeing some anecdotal stories about people who used to have to get Botox injections or something for their migraines and things like that, and then starting magnesium and not needing it anymore. And obviously, there are those stories too that it doesn't work, or it just makes you go poop in the middle of the night a bunch. So it does vary, obviously. So it's no guarantee, but it is worth trying. It's very interesting. I find that fascinating. I didn't know all that.
Yeah, and again, definitely always consult your clinician first, but it's cool to have as a potential tool in your tool belt.
Well, Zed, here's the kicker, and something that I really liked about magnesium and the relationship of magnesium and athletic performance. I take ZMA, which I'll talk about a little bit for that reason, but magnesium is big in ATP production, so energy metabolism. So it's essential for producing ATP and using it. When athletes with higher energy demands, they require more ATP, and that requires more magnesium. So you really need to have that magnesium so you can feed that body, produce that ATP. Muscle function, it's very important for that too. In contraction, in relaxation, regulates calcium levels in the cells and prevents cramping. Charley Horses, Ed, you could have probably used that that was a training periodization episode where you got cramped up, which I'll talk about a little bit more later. But yeah, muscle spasms, cramps, all of that can be caused by lack of magnesium. Electrolyte imbalance, obviously magnesium's electrolyte. So as you sweat, you lose that. People think about salt a lot or potassium, but magnesium is also extremely important. By salt, I mean sodium. Very important to also have magnesium, replenish your magnesium after a strenuous workout. In fact, athletes and those with high levels of activity, like me, Zed, someone that's recording a podcast in an 88-degree hellhole, athletes and those with high levels of activity may need 10 to 20% more than the recommended daily allowance due to how much they sweat. So, the reason I am primarily using ZMA, though, is for its purported benefits for recovery and performance. So it says magnesium, it said that magnesium helps reduce muscle soreness and speed up recovery by decreasing inflammation and aiding in muscle repair. So a few years ago, when I was really trying to maximize my recoveries, when I got my Whoop and I was trying to really hack that, I started reading a lot about ZMA, which is zinc and magnesium aspartate and vitamin B6. And so what it's supposed to do is that the zinc is supposed to be for immune function, like protein synthesis, testosterone production. Magnesium, we know, crucial role in the muscle function, energy, electrolyte balance. And then the vitamin B6 was for also protein metabolism, but with a cognitive function element as well. A cognitive function element as well. So don't have any cognitive function today for me. No. But yeah, so CMA, take it an hour before bed, like you were mentioning, and it's supposed to help with sleep, hormonal balance, enhancing recovery, including raising your heart rate variability and potentially increasing your muscle strength and performance. But, again, these are anecdotal a lot of the times, and it doesn't work for everyone. But for a lot of people, and especially I thought it was interesting for you, or to hear that you almost felt like a physical sensation from the magnesium. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, especially like before bed, I really feel that relaxed sensation. But I will say, aside from sleep, the most that I notice, and this could of course be placebo too, but I feel like I notice a huge difference when I'm taking magnesium for my workouts and recovery than when I don't. It feels like my muscles just have a lot more resilience and I get a lot less of that sort of like crampy, like achy feeling at the end of a set, and have a little bit more muscular endurance. So I know we're both pretty sweaty guys, so it doesn't surprise me too much that we might be deficient and benefit from the supplement.
Yeah, no, for sure. Recently, so like I said earlier, I just ordered my magnesium to try to see if that'll help with that feeling of worms under my skin, that overtraining sensation that I talked about in the training periodization one. So I'll let you know. I'll report back in a future episode of whether the worm demons are still living in my body or not. But fingers crossed they're not.
Yeah, let's all send Gordy good vibes and hope he can get rid of his worms.
Hell yeah.
No, I'm sorry. That sucks, dude. But yeah,
hey,
so
well, the ZMA though, it's working for me. So I take like 330 milligrams of magnesium in my ZMA. I just upped it recently from 220 because the first time I went to 330 milligrams, I did find myself going to the bathroom in the middle of the night. So I went down to 220. Now I'm back up to 330 to try to counteract some of this overtraining, and I'm okay. I'm doing all right.
Bathroom, like in a good way, or just like an extra number two?
Extra number two in the middle of the night. Yeah, not like ideal. Not like I wish I fuck sleeping. This is what I want to be doing. This can't wait.
Yeah. All right. Well, Gordy, you ready for the plan, for some concrete takeaways?
Yeah. So that if people zoned out, we need the B3B. Dr. said, what are the going through health big 3 bangers?
Okay. Number 1, magnesium. More like magnesium. Oh, you like that? You like that? All right. So basically, like you said, get it in your diet whenever possible. So your leafy greens, your Mr. Beans, your nuts and fish, your fish, some fruit. So you can look up like more specific foods. And actually the USDA, this was a great tip from Rhonda Patrick's podcast on the subject, but USDA's Food Data Central is great for calculating food macro and micronutrients. So you can search stuff you have or other vegetables and fruits and all kinds of stuff and see which have the highest magnesium content. But basically try to get it in your diet. And if you supplement, just to quickly review, that magnesium glycate, taurate, malate, pretty highly bioavailable and relatively gentle in the digestive system, but less expensive, maybe a little easier to access are those magnesium oxide, chloride, sulfate. And remember that magnesium sulfate is that Epsom salt. And so those are maybe a little bit harder and less bioavailable for digestion, but they are more cost effective. So that's number 1, magnesium. All right.
Yum.
Number 2, play all day, sleep all night. So it's crucial, like you said, Gordy, for electrolyte balance, muscle function, protein synthesis, particularly if you're super active or an athlete or sweat a lot. Take it from Gordy, Sir Sweats a Lot. That's one of his names.
That is. I was knighted.
But yeah, don't let the Charley Horse bite ya. And remember, that's play all day, but sleep all night. So results are mixed, and some people have a lot of benefits and some people don't. And there is research evidence, but also a lot of anecdotal out there as well. But that magnesium supplementation can help with that sleep time, efficiency, and insomnia.
Cool.
All right, number 3, don't get quacked. So supplements in general, this isn't just magnesium's fault. Unlike prescription medications, supplements are not regulated by agencies like the FDA before they reach the market. So that, of course, means that safety, efficacy, and quality can vary significantly. I've been on Amazon before, like looking for supplements, and there'll be ones offered one day, and I'll try to look up the company, and there won't be any website, and it won't like have any location. It'll disappear the next. So like super sketchy. So
they're just drop shipping some like powder.
Exactly. I don't even want to like think about like what's in those things. But that all to say, like, please opt for supplements from reputable brands that have like the third party testing. And so again, like nothing is 100%, but if you opt for that stuff with that accurate labeling, absence of contaminants, that's going to be a little bit better than the mystery pills. And again, like goes with saying, follow recommended dosages. Oh my gosh. I just got another Charley Horse.
No, he's trying to ham it up. He's trying to milk the success of the last one.
Oh, what the heck? All right, I'm going to start doing pre-pod magnesium IV.
So you take magnesium and it's working for you, right?
Yeah.
The guy that's cramped twice in back-to-back podcasts? No, just kidding.
Jeez. Oh, this is very apropos of today's historical perspective. But all right, let me get through the rest of this. Don't get quacked. Please avoid excessive intake and always like consult with your clinician first, especially if you have existing health conditions and are one of those brave warriors with kidney issues who I love and respect.
There we go. That makes me feel good. Thank you for that unintentional transition of the Charley Horse. So I can transition into a historical perspective that I'm very excited about today.
Hey, see, it's a going through health historical perspective right here.
All right, Zed. In the annals of baseball history, few names evoke the blend of myth and legend quite like Charles Old Hoss Radbourn. Born in 1854 to English immigrants, Radbourn's journey from a butcher's apprentice in Bloomington, Indiana, to one of baseball's most storied pitchers is a tale of grit, endurance, and a fair share of eccentricity. Radbourn's nickname, Old Hoss, was a testament to his reliability and his workhorse nature on the mound. So Hoss is like horse, just in case that wasn't clear. It doesn't sound as cool being named Old Horse, though.
Hoss is way better.
So the summer of 1884, if you remember that summer, stands as the pinnacle of Radbourn's career in a season that would etch his name into the record books and the hearts of baseball fans forever. In July of the 1880.
Oh, sorry, I was thinking about that for a while.
That's okay. Sorry.
I'm Hossy.
I like that. I like that. We got to make that a sound bite. In July of 1884, Old Hoss Radbourn, who was playing for the Providence Grays in Rhode Island, was suspended from the league. You like the Grays?
It's so close.
Yeah, so close. Was suspended from the league because of his wild temper. In the 8th inning of the game against Boston, he became upset over a balk call by the umpire and promptly began to throw the ball with reckless haste and wildness. That's what the quote says. The quote says he was giving Little Gilligan, in parentheses, the catcher, false signs and seemingly striving to break up the little fellow. Really stressed 2 times they call the catcher little in that one little sentence.
Gilligan.
Little Gilligan. Oh, poor little Gilligan. But anyway, Old Hoss was freaking out. The Hoss was freaking. So, yeah, and Radbourn was always a chippy, emotional guy. And this is a fun fact, Zed. Radbourn, Old Hoss, is known for being the first person ever photographed flipping the bird. In 1886, there was an image captured of him giving the middle finger to a member of the New York Giants in a team photo. So I'll get you that picture for our Insta.
Yeah, kind of a little bit of a crazy Hoss, it sounds like.
He was a wild Hoss. He was persnickety. After his on-field temper tantrum, rumors began to circulate that Old Hoss had been intentionally pitching poorly because he had just signed a $5,000 contract with the St. Louis Unions for more than twice the usual player's salary of about $1,000 for a season back then. So they were thinking, oh, is Hoss two-timing us? But the rumors were disproved after the 4th game of Radbourn's suspension on July 22nd, 1884, during a game against the Philadelphia Quakers. Radbourn's team, the Grays, were in a tight race for the national pennant, the National League pennant, the NL, and their team just started to unravel. Radbourn's fellow pitcher, Charlie Sweeney, walked off the field mid-game. In this particular game, Sweeney was pitching super well, had a 6-2 lead, and the manager decided to pull him out to try to give him some rest and told him to, hey, move to right field. Sweeney, you're done, Sweeney. Get over there, move to right field. And Sweeney felt slighted and was like, no, I'm cooking. I've been doing great recently. And he refused his manager's orders, and he cussed him out, and he like left the field in a tizzy, just like walked right off. But it was later discovered that it was Sweeney, not Old Hoss, who had signed with St. Louis and was 2-timing him. So that piece of shit, right?
I knew it couldn't be Old Hoss.
No, exactly. So Sweeney's actions left the Providence Grays short-handed, leading to a disastrous inning that saw them lose the lead, and eventually the game. And so the team management had no choice but to kick Sweeney off the team following the incident. And with the a-hole pitcher Sweeney gone, and faced with the prospect of their season unraveling, Old Hoss Radbourn made a bold offer. He consented to pitch every game for the rest of the year on the condition that management give him Sweeney's old pay on top of his own. He said, I'll pitch every day and I'll win the pennant for Providence, even if it costs me my right arm. And it did, Zed. It did cost him his right arm.
Good.
Radburn's commitment was nothing short of Herculean. Over the remaining 51 games of the season, he started 41 of the games and won 35, finishing the season with a staggering 60 wins, a record that still stands. His dominance was such that he often pitched through intense pain, his arm increasingly worn from the relentless workouts. So that he pitched nearly 680 innings that summer. And that's over, well over 150 to 300 pitches each game he's throwing. And so I was just doing some quick mental math, and that's 10 seasons worth for a modern starting pitcher, in one summer. So it's a whole career. My fault. But a whole career's worth in a summer. So his arm is just just completely torn up. How much pitchers how much care goes into their arms and how much rest is built in and pitch counts and stuff like that these days. The idea that you're just going to throw the same guy out every single day, it's just hey, you're the team. Go do it, Hoss. It's just crazy.
But he's getting $6,000, so
yeah,
pretty easy choice for me.
Yeah, that's true. And it was also just a weird era of baseball. So it was the first year I think that you could throw it overhand, and so that was probably new way to hurt his shoulder. And it was 6 balls for a walk instead of 4 balls. So he would have to throw a shit ton of balls to even get a walk. So pitched the entire game. No relievers were coming to provide any relief. He was probably hammered. Probably had 19 kids at home. It was a different time.
Goat testicle implants.
He seriously sounds like it. He actually sounds like it. He might have.
Couldn't hurt.
No, it couldn't hurt. Well, to manage his arm health, he developed a very arduous pregame routine. So each morning he woke up unable to lift his arm. So he would begin his day by slowly throwing a few feet in front of him, just 1 or 2 feet, just dropping the ball, and then gradually increasing the distance until he could throw from the outfield to home plate. And this took him literally hours and hours, before every game. He would probably walk in there just reeking I don't know, a farm and alcohol or something, whatever people smelled like back then, and just have to warm up all day. And his teammates would have to come in there and give him massages to help alleviate the pain.
You coming in as the team, drawing straws and getting the short straw to be Hoss's arm massager that day.
Oh yeah, I don't want to do it, man.
He's super persnickety. He's usually young Hoss plays Enya for me. Actually, I didn't bring the album today.
Spa culture is really big in Providence right now. Make sure you get in there deep. Unless you want Charley Sweeney pitching again. Okay, I don't have to be here. So despite the agony, Radburn's performances remained stellar. His ability to change speeds and arm angles kept hitters perpetually off balance, and his determination paid off as the Providence Grays clinched the pennant and went on to win the first ever unofficial World Series against the New York Metropolitans.
Count it.
And so Radbourn pitched all 3 games of the series, only allowing a handful of hits and 0 walks, cementing his place in baseball lore. Now, after the season, Zed, I'm sad to report that Old Hoss was never the same. His arm was just never the same. But like any good Midwestern, old-timey character from history, he opened up and successfully ran a saloon and billiards hall in his retirement. And also, like any good Midwesterner of the time, he lost one of his eyes in a hunting accident soon after he retired, contracted syphilis, and the Old Hoss would gallop no more. dying at the old age of 42.
Oh, no, that's a sweet story. That man, billiards hall, hunting accident, lost eye, and syphilis. That's the triple crown.
That's triple crown.
I was hoping he'd get to go to a farm upstate and just live peacefully to the end of his days, but it sounds like that was not to be.
That's true. Send the old Hoss up to greener pastures.
I was reading. Go ahead.
Syphilis and hunting accident.
But I was reading it wasn't all bad news. He was able to actually turned into some really quality glue and kind of cement his legacy.
Yeah, it's actually the glue that they use to adhere modern baseball gloves out of. There, it's from Old Hoss's hooves. Charles Old Hoss Radbourn's legacy, Zed, is a tale of unparalleled endurance and skill. His record-setting 1884 season remains a benchmark of pitching excellence and is generally considered an unbreakable record in sports. But I got another fun fact for you right here. Beyond his prowess as a pitcher, Radbourn may have contributed something else to the lexicon of sports injuries: the Charley Horse. It's said that Radbourn, who often experienced severe leg cramps, just like you, Old Hoss, coined the term after a horse named Charlie that worked at his family's farm walked with a limp once. And he's probably like, oh, that's a Charley horse. And they're like, why the fuck would I know what your horses are named? Why would that joke make sense to me? He's like, I run this team. I run this fucking team.
Just explains it every time.
He's like, I got his horse with a limp. I'm like, oh, yeah, good one. That'll definitely catch on.
Isn't like a lame horse like famously very sad and like in a lot of like pain and needs to be put down?
You got to put him down. And he was a lame horse by the end.
Yeah.
But not lame in the 90s sense. He was very he was really cool.
And that's why they blew him away at the end of his life.
Yep. Once he got syphilis, they just took him out back, shot him in the head with a shotgun, and then inducted him into the Hall of Fame.
Now that's healthy.
I'm glad he won an unofficial World Series, though. That'll never die. You can't take that away from him.
Zed, do you hear that music? Oh, my friend, it is time for our fast fire questions.
Gordy and Zed's fast fire questions.
Zed, it's time for our fast fire questions. You old laughy little guy.
That's little Gilligan.
All right, Zed. As always, start with our first fast fire question, which is, would you rather?
Would you rather?
Zed, this is a fun one. I'm excited to present this one to you.
I'll be the judge of that.
We'll see. You got to actually think about this, all right? Would you rather? Would you rather? I read this online, and it got me an idea, and I made it for you. All right. Would you rather shave your wife's head when she sleeps and be handed $100,000, or would you rather not?
$100,000. Yeah. Sounds like her problem.
You think it's going to stay her problem, though?
Yeah. Here's what I do. I take the $100,000. Well, first I shave her head. Then I get the $100,000.
Easy.
And then if I survive long enough and can like escape her anger, I'll get her a wig for like, I don't know, what could that be, like $1,000? Boom. Mm-hmm. Still netting $99,000. Everyone's happy. Yeah, very, very easy decision for me.
No, I mean the wig thing is a good. But like, would you ever, like, I know you're kind of a little princess, as you call it, for sleep. Do you think you're going to be able to sleep well? Don't you think, like, you're going to always check your wife's eye for any hint of revenge before you go to sleep?
Yeah, I mean, there's a very high possibility that I do not survive this payout. But I don't know, like, worst case scenario, if she shaves my head. Actually, she wouldn't, though. She's one of those ones that, like, revenge is not enough. She has to amp up the stakes.
So just shave your whole family's heads.
Yeah. Not my mom! Yeah, I think it's still worth it. Heck, I'd do it for free. Heck, I'll pay you to let me shave my wife's head.
I love it. I hope you can follow up next episode with that one.
What about you? What would you do?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you just you shave and you ask for forgiveness afterwards.
Yeah.
You high five her, you slip her like a few $100s. Let's forget about the head shaving thing.
And
I got $50,000 out.
Yeah, we got paid $50,000.
Yeah, I got $50,000. It's like, why do you have a new podcasting studio? Zed, I'm really excited about this next question because you have no idea that I have introduced a new question to Fast Fire Questions. And so let me introduce to you a new question I'm very excited about.
Which would you rather spend time with in a giant terrarium?
That's right. That's right, Zed. It is which would you rather spend time with in a giant terrarium?
Rolls off the tongue.
Zed, would you rather, if it's in a giant terrarium, let's say the base of it is like the size of a basketball court and it's like 30-foot tall glass walls, you know, like it's an aquarium, but it's dry. That's a terrarium in case anyone has any questions. Zed, you'd have to spend, let's say, a week in there. No, first 5 hours with a moose or a cheetah. Which one would you want?
Oh, cheetah for sure. First of all, thanks for putting me in a luxury terrarium. It sounds really nice. Second,
basketball hoops.
Yeah, it's just a basketball gym with a cheetah. Like, he's crowding me. Foul. Just running through. No, because like, unless the cheetah's like wildly hungry or like has rabies, and like as long as I don't have magnesium deficiency, I think like I don't think it'll see me as prey, and like worst case scenario, if it is coming at me a little aggro, I think I could like jump up, grab the rim. Not to brag, I can touch the rim.
Sick, dude.
kind of pull myself up in the terrarium and kind of be super comfortable, just kind of sitting in the basket for a week.
Do you think the moose would be able to get you in the basket? Like, would it be functionally different, or would it just give you a little bit of time to get up there?
I think it's less about being able to like pull myself up into the basket and more like I think for the majority of the week, the cheetah is not going to attack me, whereas the moose is a little bit more unpredictable.
That's a doctor's opinion, folks. So take that how you will.
Don't take that actionably. This is not medical advice.
Zed, it is time for our final fast fire question, the one that is not a question.
Shock the duck.
That's right, S the D, where I say something that would S a normal health professional. Zed. That would S a normal health professional. Does that sound? All right, a 2011 study by David T. Neal and Tanya L. Chartrand, thank you so much for their middle initials, folks, found that people who had received Botox injections were less accurate at decoding facial expressions than a control group who received a skin filler. So this study suggests that Botox's paralytic effects on facial muscles interferes with embodied cognition, which is how facial feedback helps people perceive emotion. When we see others' facial expressions, we unconsciously mimic them using our own facial muscles, which then helps us understand how they are feeling.
That is super interesting. Yeah, I guess like my first thought is like I wonder if that like plays into why all these like reality TV stars caught the mic again. They call me Little Gilligan,
Little Gilligan, the catcher.
But no, that makes me wonder if it plays into why all these like reality TV stars who have had all this like work done in Botox, why they're a little, maybe could be perceived as a little cray-cray.
Yeah, that's a good point. I like it.
But
that's interesting.
I will be using this. I will be weaponizing this information in my next argument with my wife, though. As soon as she wakes up and is mad about the hair.
Yeah. Hey, Baldy, let's not worry about the Botox right now.
Yeah.
Well, everyone, thank you for listening to Going Through Health with Gordy and Zed. Listen each week on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. New episodes available early Monday morning. Follow us on Spotify. It's 5 stars, Zed. What's something else that they can give us if they don't like stars? What's 5 something that they can give us?
Like 5 follows. Like if you like us, tell your friends. Tell 5 friends. And if you hate us, tell your enemies.
Ooh, I like that. I like that a lot. At Going Through Health Podcast on Instagram. Do the same thing. Any questions? Thank you, everyone, for just blowing up our email, GordyandZ@gmail.com. It's been ridiculous. I've had to send so many to spam, but keep them coming. We appreciate it. We will answer any question you send us or try to. Zed, thank you so much for recording with me.
Yeah, Gordy, I'll see you in hell.
Thanks, buddy.
Hey, this is Zed. This podcast is intended solely for general informational purposes and does not represent the provision of medical advice or the practice of any professional healthcare services. No clinician-patient relationship is formed. Nice try. And the use of the information provided or materials linked is at the user's own risk. The content of this podcast is not meant to replace professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Users should seek medical advice for any health issues they may have and should consult their healthcare providers for any such concerns.